United States President Donald Trump has completely stopped arms supplies to Ukraine. The Pentagon stated that all previously promised weapons to Ukraine, including interceptor missiles for air defense systems, artillery shells, and a whole range of other arms, will be sent to replenish the United States Department of Defense's stockpiles instead of being delivered to Ukraine. Pentagon Chief Pete Hegseth stated that the United States needs these weapons more than Ukraine does right now. The White House has already confirmed that they have supposedly placed United States security priorities above those of other countries. Western analysts are already admitting that Ukraine might hold out even without United States assistance, but at a much higher cost. And the refusal to provide weapons essentially means that Trump is abandoning Ukraine. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense stated that Washington has not sent any official notifications about stopping the delivery of agreed-upon defense aid. And Ukraine is now trying to contact the White House and the Pentagon to clarify the situation. Meanwhile, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte emphasized that European countries are increasing their defense spending and assistance to Ukraine. But without all the help from the United States, it will be much harder for Ukraine. My name is Alexei Pechi. Today is July 2nd on the calendar. Let's discuss this topic together because there's definitely something to talk about here. And there are a lot of pitfalls here that need to be addressed in order to fully understand the whole context of what's happening. Before we begin, I ask you to subscribe to this channel, give it a like, leave any comment you want, and be sure to subscribe to my Telegram channel. The link to it is in the description of this video. So today, Donald Trump's team, without exaggeration, shocked the democratic world with their decision on Ukraine. The United States has stopped supplying Ukraine with interceptors for air defense and other weapons, and instead is using them to replenish Pentagon stockpiles. This was first announced by a representative of United States President Donald Trump's administration and 2 congressional aides. This essentially means that the decision to suspend the supply of weapons intended for Ukraine reflects a weakening of the White House's commitment to helping Kyiv defend itself against Russia. Instead, representatives of the Trump administration emphasized the need to focus more on threats from China and, more relevantly in their view, on military needs in the Middle East. Although I should add that Trump himself claimed he had already achieved peace in the Middle East and that everything there was calm. And, as the quote says, the weapons were already in Poland when their deliveries were stopped. They included Patriot air defense interceptors, air-to-air missiles, air-to-ground missiles, surface-to-surface missiles, artillery shells, and surface-to-air missiles. Moreover, it's notable that the Pentagon initially refused to comment on this topic, but later on, Deputy Secretary of Defense for Policy Elbridge Colby did not comment on the decision to stop supplying weapons to Ukraine. But he stated that the Pentagon would provide Trump with options for continuing military aid to Ukraine that align with his goal of ending this war. Next is a quote from Colby. The Department of Defense is carefully studying and adapting its approach to achieving this goal, while also maintaining the readiness of the United States Armed Forces for defense priorities. And this move by the White House puzzled many analysts, who noted that Trump stated at the NATO summit last week that he would consider selling Patriot air defense systems to Kyiv. And now this kind of move? Later, the White House officially confirmed that the United States has indeed suspended arms deliveries to Ukraine. This information was confirmed by one of the White House spokespersons, Anna Kelly. She noted that the decision was made to put the interests of the United States first. It was made after the Pentagon reviewed the military support and assistance that the United States provides to other countries. According to the information, such weapons will no longer be sent to Ukraine. Patriot system missiles, 155mm high explosive howitzer shells, 100 already promised missiles, 250 high precision rocket systems, dozens of surface-to-air missiles, air-to-air missiles, and grenade launchers. It is now known that the delivery of military aid to Ukraine has been halted indefinitely. In particular, it may last until the Pentagon completes its review, or it may not resume at all if it turns out that there is a shortage of ammunition or if other countries need them. It is also telling that Ukraine has not received any official notifications about the suspension of the agreed, I emphasize, defensive aid from the United States of America. and now this issue is being clarified directly with the Americans. According to an announcement from Ukraine's Ministry of Defense, which I will now quote, Ukraine has not received any official notifications about the suspension or revision of the agreed defense aid delivery schedules. Therefore, we rely on actual data and verify the details for each element in the deliveries. The Ministry of Defense of Ukraine also says that they have taken note of the report about the delay in the delivery of certain items previously allocated by the United States defense aid package. And now they are clarifying the current physical, actual circumstances of the deliveries. The Ministry of Defense has requested a phone call with their United States colleagues to further clarify the details. Next, there's another quote from the statement by the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine. The results of the contacts with our American partners will be additionally reported at the level of the Ministry of Defense and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine. For Ukraine, it is critically important to maintain stability, continuity, and predictability in providing coordinated defense assistance, especially in strengthening air defense systems. We are grateful to the United States for all their support and highly appreciate the efforts of our American partners aimed at achieving a true peace. We emphasize that the path to ending the war lies through consistent and joint pressure on the aggressor, as well as through continuous support for Ukraine. And here I want to remind you that the Trump administration inherited the authority to send Ukraine up to $4 billion worth of weapons from Pentagon stockpiles, but refrained from doing so. It also did not request additional funding from Congress for a separate program to assist Ukraine, under which money is allocated so that the country can purchase weapons from American defense companies. No, it orders new weapons directly, not from stockpiles. Democratic lawmakers have already criticized the decision to stop supplying weapons. And as Senator Jeanne Shaheen, the top Democrat on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, stated, quote, "The Pentagon is significantly weakening air defense while Russia bombs Ukrainian cities every night, resulting in the deaths of innocent Ukrainians." But there is also another opinion within Donald Trump's team that is simply astonishing. Former Pentagon official under Trump, Dan Caldwell, who is skeptical about supporting Ukraine, praised the decision to halt supplies and stated, quote, "Trump and Defense Secretary Hexet are making the right decision by prioritizing our own defense readiness over supplies to Ukraine, where America's vital interests are not at stake." At the same time, Bild reports that Ukraine's stockpile of missiles to repel Russian air attacks will last at most until the end of summer, after which the situation could become critical. At the same time, the publication calls the halt in Patriot advanced capability 3 missile supplies for the Patriot systems especially dramatic, since these are currently the only missiles capable of intercepting Russian ballistic missiles. Kyiv is also hit hard by the halt in air-to-air missile supplies. Air intercept missile. 7 are missiles designed for F-16 fighter jets. Without them, Ukraine loses a key means of fighting Russian Shaheds, which terrorize civilian targets in Ukraine every day. So now there could be a critical gap until Europe tries to somehow fill it. And here I'll give you a very telling quote from the former Chief of Staff of the German Ministry of Defense, Nico Lange, who today criticized European countries that had vainly hoped that United States President Donald Trump would continue military support for Ukraine. Next is a quote from Lange. They thought that if they were just very friendly to Trump, then military aid would continue. But Trump never had such plans. The head of the White House said this from day one, but the Europeans didn't want to believe it. But now, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte stated that he understands the Trump administration's desire to focus primarily on its own American interests, but he added that stopping aid to Ukraine would have consequences for the United States as well. Next is a quote from Mark Rutte. When it comes to Ukraine, in the short term, Ukraine cannot do without all the support it can get, especially when it comes to ammunition and air defense systems. On the sidelines of the NATO summit last week, the presidents of Ukraine and the United States held a meeting and had a very good discussion, particularly regarding air defense systems. Yes, I understand that the United States has to take care of its own weapons stockpiles. At the same time, we need to allow for a certain degree of flexibility. European countries are increasing their defense spending and assistance to Ukraine, but they cannot manage without practical support from the United States. It is also in the interest of the United States that Ukraine does not lose this war, and a secure Europe also means a secure United States. These are all completely interconnected things. But unfortunately, the White House is making it clear that their foreign policy priorities have changed, and Trump seems to be turning away from Ukraine. At least for now. Let's see what happens next. That's all for now. Share your thoughts, feelings, and conclusions in the comments below. Russians, just move along right away. I'll ban and block everyone so you don't show up here with your comments at all. No one here is interested in you, so just move along. Reasonable viewers, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and don't forget to like. That's all for now. Take care. Goodbye all.